wonderful, glorious Monday, April the 11th, 2022. Remember, it's no longer the Monday blues. We're no longer considering Monday the worst day of the week because we have goals to accomplish and we want to be productive each and every day. And Monday is no exception. So, again, thank you for joining me today. I have a great show in store for you today. Today, I'm talking about how social media influences our mental health. It's social media week on Midday Motivation. So buckle up. And I think parents, you should get a notepad if you're watching, because there's some things I'm sure you probably know, but you may not know in full how much social media impacts your young people. Sorry about that. Forgot to turn my alarms off. How much it affects young people, and it affects adults too, but young people are much more impressionable. They're going through these stages of development in life. And so it has much more of a pervasive effect on them, as well as that's that influential time in our lives. And social media is a staple in our lives now because we carry it with us everywhere we go on the small device called a mobile phone, as well as other mobile devices. So it's very influential. It's where people live today to get a lot of their needs met for socialization, personal things, business things. So it's where we go. And the influence is powerful. The people who design social media platforms, they know how powerful it is. They've done their psychology, their human psychology research, and have professionals on board who understand the psychology of media and what they needed to do in order to attract people to continue to watch hour after hour after hour, and the effect that it will have on people. And so I think everybody probably has heard on some level the social media platforms when they were being built, and how some of them knew that it wasn't a good idea to do some of the things that they're doing because of the negative effect it would have on people. And some people have resigned from positions on these platforms because they're seeing the fallout, and they're just convicted that this is not something that I want to be a part of. So that's what we're going to talk about all this week, the different effects that social media has on us and how we can use it to our advantage, and how we can maneuver through the negativity so we can have the best experience possible. But we all fall prey to some of the negativity of social media because it's there. You can't turn on social media and not see it. So we have to learn how to navigate it. But today we're going to talk about how it impacts how it influences our mental health. So before we get started with the meat of the matter, please subscribe to the channel. You're watching Full Life Communications on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, although I'm not broadcasting live on Instagram, but you can follow me there also on the Full Life Communications page. And please, on YouTube and Facebook, subscribe to the channel, follow the page, share the feed, click the notification bell so you'll know when I'm on and you won't have to think about it. And make comments, share your thoughts and share your opinions. And just a side note, I believe that if you're watching, say someone shares the feed on their page and you're watching from their page, and you make a comment or a question, I can't see your comment or question unless you're watching from my actual page on Facebook or on YouTube, which is Full Life Communications. Now, if you're watching from someone else's page and that's more convenient for you, have at it, feel free. As long as you watch, that is the point. But watch from Full Life Communications page if you want to make a comment or a question and have me see it and possibly answer your question and get your question or comment highlighted. So let's get into the meat of the matter for today. How social media influences our mental health. It influences our mental health in many ways. And oftentimes we can see it more, particularly with our young people, because they are, again, much more impressionable because of the stage of development that they're in because of their ages. My particular opinion regarding when a child, a young person should have access to their own cell phone, mobile device, a mobile phone, which means that they take it anywhere they choose to take it with some obvious parental discernment being used as far as how often they have it and how often they use it. But I see young people as well as adults in therapy, and a lot of my parents don't have those types of, well, don't take those types of controls with their children unless the children start doing something they shouldn't do, and then they'll take the phone. But there should be parameters. When you give a child a cell phone that is their own, you should put parameters on it from the door. Now, I'm not going to put a certain age on it, but because listen, truth be told, many adults don't even know how to handle, aren't mature enough, emotionally mature enough. That's the issue. Our emotional maturity is not up to par to handle what social media brings to the table. Again, social media has these influences that we're not aware of. We're just, hey, this is great, this is fun, this is wonderful, but it's having an impact on your psychology. I mean, this is research. But we're picking up a device. This is the latest thing. This is the greatest thing. We're not thinking about that. And so we start seeing the after effects, which we've been on social media for a while now. We're seeing the after effects in our children and in our adults. So again, I'm not putting an age on it, but I think parents need to really think carefully and not give into the peer pressure of, well, all the other kids have it. Well, all the other kids might have a whole lot of stuff, but is that what's right for your household? Right? So you need to really be careful of how old your child is and how emotionally mature your child is before you give him or her such a powerful, and powerful can't be understated, device to carry around with them 24/7, 365, because it could do great damage. It's great for what it's great for, but it's also very harmful in many ways. So parents, think about how, what age, and discuss it. Really have a serious conversation, with those who are going to be the decision makers of when your child gets to have a device. And then when you do give that child a device, put some parameters on it around how long they can be on social media, whether they can even have social media. You have this device, but no access to social media until you get a certain age. Because here are some of the effects. Social media can really affect a child. And when I say child, this is everyone, but we're seeing it so much more pervasively in young people, but it affects adults too. I see adults in therapy and social media, some of the things that they say based on what they've seen on social media, it sounds like a child is talking. Seriously, I'm not, belittling or making fun, but because of that influence, they're saying things that they may not normally say because of the influence of social media, and they're not even realizing that, okay, but you're an adult, you can decipher, but then that speaks to their emotional maturity. You see what I'm saying? Adults, if many adults aren't emotionally mature enough, how can you imagine a child, a 8-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 15-year-old having this device and all the same things that adults are seeing? I'm not talking about adult content, but social media, young people are seeing. And it's having the same effect, but worse, because the young person is still in the stages of development. And it can be harmful to their growth and development going through those stages because they have not completed all those stages yet. So self-esteem is one of the more obvious areas of our mental health that we're seeing in our young people, and again, not so young people, how their self-esteem has been affected. And low self-esteem because they're comparing themselves to other people on social media, because everybody glamorizes their lives. But everybody's life isn't glamorous 24/7, 365. No one's life is like that. Every human being has issues. Every human being is flawed and broken. But on social media, we're showing the best of our lives. And so other people who are watching it, if we're only seeing the best of someone's life, the best of an influencer's life, and they're not showing you everything, the real deal, that their life is really no different from yours, with I hurt when someone rejects me, I hurt, or I have insecurities, all these things that we all experience, right? But if I'm just seeing the best of your life and then I'm comparing what I'm seeing in your life on social media to mine, was like, well, I have struggles. Well, I have problems. I have issues. Well, I don't feel that great every day. Well, I don't look like that. All these I don'ts based on what we're seeing, what's being photoshopped and what's being chopped off here, chopped off there, so bodies can look the best when bodies aren't perfect like that, no matter how much you do to the picture or to the video. But That's false advertising. But I want to make my life appear as great and wonderful and as glamorous as possible. But that's not really my reality. So it's a false reality that's being perpetrated in social media. And then young people and not so young are seeing this and they're feeling inferior, and they're feeling that their lives don't match up to what they're seeing on social media because it's not reality. So that's a big area of influence in a negative way that social media has on self-esteem, and making helping people to feel inferior because their lives don't match up. Also, to social anxiety. I see a lot of social anxiety in the young people I see in therapy, because a lot of what they do is behind a device. And so we can be bolder, more courageous, right, behind a device, because we're not standing in front of a person saying how we truly think and feel. We're hiding behind a device. So now when I go to school and matriculate through my day and matriculate through my life, I'm seeing people and I'm relating, trying to relate to people who are some strangers in school because I don't know them. Some are friends and some are associates, whatever level. But there's some level of anxiety in me because I'm not used to uh, doing the face-to-face relationship thing. I'm used to doing the relationship behind a device. So now my thoughts are, and again, don't forget, I'm looking at other people's lives that are so great and wonderful. And some people that are, at my school as a young person, I'm seeing their lives on social media. So now I'm coming and matriculating through school with them, and I'm feeling somewhat intimidated. I'm feeling a little bit anxious because now, again, I'm comparing myself. And now also too, it's like I'm comfortable behind the device, but I'm not comfortable in person socializing. So I find that somewhat off-putting, and I find that anxiety provoking. I can't tell you how many young people, especially since the past 2 years where we've been living behind closed doors, how much anxiety is happening with our young people, and just because of going to school, and that the social anxiety is real. And so some of how we utilize social media has an impact on that level of anxiety, no matter whether how minor or how major, but it is there. So that's another aspect of how social media affects our mental health, as well as depression, comparing our lives to others and our lives don't match up. Well, I'm feeling some type of way about that. And this is every day, 24/7, again, 365, year after year. And I'm just feeling like I don't match up. I'm feeling like I'm inferior. My self-esteem is low. Depression, right? I'm just feeling like I'm not good enough. Like I can't match up to these other people. And so that's another way that social media can negatively impact our mental health. Now, on a more positive note, social media can make us help us to feel more courageous, again, because now I can say things that I may have been afraid to say before because I haven't given myself a voice, but maybe because I have low self-esteem, so I don't give myself a voice. I'm more of a passive communicator. But on social media, I could post stuff, and because no one is staring me in my face, and then I'm not feeling inferior to them. I'm just posting on a device that everyone will see. And I'm not saying posting anything negative. I can post positive things, or I can also too just post my truth, how I view the world. Some days is good, some days is not so good. But for me to stand there and say this to someone face to face, it's a little bit intimidating for me. So, but doing it over a device, it's much less intimidating. So I become a little bit more courageous in speaking my mind on social media versus in person. So that's a more positive way. Although, let's add this caveat: we shouldn't speak everything we think, and we see all over social media that people are putting too much of their business on social media. And just because you think it, you don't need to post it, right? So the bravery and the courageousness go so far with being positive, because then there's a negative slant to that too. People are saying things over the internet on social media that they wouldn't dare say to that person's face. So now I'm taking out my frustration and being honest how I feel about you, whatever, over the internet, where I don't have to face you face to face, where I would never say that. So it has its negative components of now being courageous too. So there's a positive and a negative to that particular influence of social media. So, but social media fosters bullying. That's a negative, because those people and trolls can be bullies, right? Because now I am spewing this negativity across social media based on whatever it is I'm seeing and not liking, or because I'm going to pick on you via social media. It's just bullying. Trolling is bullying. Bullying on social media is trolling. So same thing in the schoolhouse or the workplace, because there's workplace bullies. So social media can perpetuate bullying. It's just another location to do it. And it may spur on even more bullying, because again, people get courageous on social media because they don't have to see the person face to face, and they can make these anonymous statements. And now other people reading them, like, probably think, oh, I just had a conversation with that person. They're probably talking about me. But they're not calling me and telling me how they feel. They're making this blanket statement. We've all seen it. You know what I'm talking about. Making this blanket statement that I know that's directed to me. We just had a conversation and now you're posting this. Can't you just call me and say how you think or how you feel about what happened so we can just clear the air? No, I got to go to social media, because that's where I feel most brave. I'm not brave enough to call you and not mature enough. It's a maturity level to call you and say, hey, you know what? I don't really like what transpired. I don't really like what happened. But we're not confronting one another in an assertive way, in a positive way, in order to get a productive end. Because there's a way to confront that's good. We just tend to do it in a negative way, which is why people don't like to do it. But I'll run to social media and I'll blab everything because I can. But it's emotionally immature, and it's destructive and not constructive, and it's unproductive. And it ruins relationships. We see it every single day, every single day. So that's another way that social media impacts our mental health. It can promote bullying because I can hide, right? And those people who may not even have tended to walk down that lane of being a bully, now because I can with social media, I'm getting my gumption up. There's an old phrase, right? That, what are you going to do to me? You can't do anything to me because you can't even see me, right? So that's another way. Social media also too stresses us out. With all the news that we have access to 24/7, 365, the violence, the negativity, that causes a lot of stress. And we're going to talk later in the week about how we can combat some of this stress by taking breaks and doing other things to not allow social media to have that overwhelmingly stressful impact on our mind and on our emotions. So those are some of the things that social media, the impact of social media on our mental health. And there's many more things too. Those just are some things that I wanted to share with you today to highlight. So especially parents, you can understand the part of the impact that this is having on your children. And so you can put some parameters in place when you decide to give them that powerful mobile device that is affecting their psychology, affecting their mental health to a great degree. And I don't know if parents understand the depth of the degree that social media and having access 24/7 to the world, literally to the world in our hands. That's a lot of responsibility. That's a lot of responsibility. And we're giving these things to 8-year-olds, 10-year-olds, 15-year-olds. Emotional maturity is not there yet to handle the depth of what they're about, that world, that internet world that they're about to step into. You got to think really, really long and hard when you give a child a mobile device, and what you're doing as a parent, because the parent is in control. What harm you're doing, nobody else is doing this. What potential harm you're doing to your child by giving them that device. It's like giving, an 8-year-old the keys to the car. Go drive. Would you do that? Absolutely not. Because the child wouldn't know what he was doing, would run into a wall and kill himself and kill others. Well, it's the same thing with social media. Running into those walls, those pitfalls that the children aren't aware of because they're too young. And they don't know how to navigate that internet world because it's too savvy, it's too sophisticated. The psychology of it is sophisticated, and it works on our mind. It works on our brain. It works on our emotions. We have to be really careful when we give a child a mobile device. So those are some of the things of how social media influences our mental health. So please take this seriously and monitor adults, monitor your own self. Monitor your own self. And tomorrow we're going to talk about how social media influences relationships. I cannot tell you how many couples I see in counseling where social media is ruining their relationship. I'm just going to leave it at that, and I'll give you the examples tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining me today. Have a great Monday. No more Monday blues. It's all up from here, accomplishing your goals, tapping into that greatness that's within you, and being motivated and inspired to accomplish goals and be productive every day. Monday is one of the greatest days of the week, just as well as the other six. So make it a great day. Enjoy the rest of the day. Join me tomorrow when I talk about how social media influences relationships. I love you. God bless you. Shalom.